will be able to survive for now, though. The healing coming on through somehow survives it, and it's Cat's cost to go down instead. Mookie can't quite finish skills. Dominant Kando under the tower he goes. The Crescent Strike to finish them all off. Dashes under, and Dominant Shield just about gets away with it. Somehow, Anorthosis win everything.
Welcome back, everybody. We are a few moments away from getting into our champion select between Misfits Premier and SuppUp, and I think Misfits Premier have been kind of like the story of this group. The LFL, not even the first seed coming from the LFL, but they have absolutely dominated. Now, SuppUp are the only team to have taken a win from Misfits Premier in this entire group stage thus far, and they had to dig deep to do so, like some crazy dragon steals, some really good late game team fighting. But Misfits seem to have learned from that. Like, they've never let another team really get to that stage. I know Agar Rogue almost did in their first matchup last week, but SuppUp have got to do the impossible again to try and stop this Misfits train rolling.
And something which I really like what you just said, for the only team to take a game off of Misfits, they're the only team to take a game off the LFL. Karmine Corp are undefeated. Misfits are 3-1 now. That's kind of crazy. I don't think we were expecting SuppUp to do that. But hey, they've looked pretty good, actually. They looked very strong in week one. And the way, I think the way that they win their games, much more focused towards team fighting. Yes, they did lose game number 1 today against G2 Arctic, but they didn't. I don't think they drafted towards their strength. And so that's one of the adaptations I want to see right before we even load on Summoner's Rift. Just pick champions that are more about those kind of like scrappy skirmishes, those fights, because I think that really plays into their strengths.
And so for SuppUp here, like, if you were to attack someone, do you feel like you're going to have to play through bot lane, trying to attack that Misfits bot lane? Because what you said in the previous game was, you know, Misfits, they look to play through Woolite. Like, Shlatan plays around his strong side. That's often his bot lane prio. Is there a way that you can try and get that bot lane off prio and try and attack them for SuppUp?
I think that would start in the draft as well. But my question, I think, like, the only way you'd really be able to pinch Woolite out of a champion pool for draft is if you throw like 3 bans at him and then first pick an AD carry. I generally think that's the only way you can do it, because I don't think Misfits will leave their AD carry to like last rotation necessarily, or at least like they won't leave it that late to get a strong bot lane. So to that extent, it can be kind of hard to find favorable matchups. Bearing in mind, Woolite and Jactroll, in my opinion, are the best bot lane that we have here in EU Masters. I think that's going to be a little bit tough. However, having said that, once you do get into the game, depending on the jungler that Speedy's playing, who's a jungler for SuppUp, like, sure, you know, if you've got more of an aggressive style jungler, depending on the position of the lanes, and you can communicate that with your bot side, if you can get some priority mid as well, make it even easier for you to like roam down bot side like 4 people, that is something you can do, and perhaps a way that you can punish.
Yeah, we'll see. We are now into champion a select between Misfits and SuppUp. And again, it would be a big upset for SuppUp to take the win. Even though they did win the previous engagement, it would be, I would still consider it an upset for SuppUp to take this win away from Misfits Premier. Now, Misfits, I think, guarantee themselves group exit with this win. So a win here would guarantee themselves an exit from Group B. Whether that would be first place or not, I couldn't say. I have to wait until this game's over to just fully check. But I know that a 4-1 scoreline would get you through from Group B at this point in time. Now, Misfits are already in a good spot. Most of the remaining scenarios see Misfits exit as the first seed, but a win here would, you know, absolutely guarantee themselves to get out of the group stage. We'll see some bans coming through. Respects towards 2 hours with the Seraphine ban and the Akali ban, and we're going to see the Hecarim taken away as well.
Akali's been seeing a lot of resurgence today. We actually saw 2 hours play it earlier in the first game of the day against G2 Arctic, and it's one of the champions he played last week as well. It's pretty good on that champion, so just take that away, no problemo. Tristana as well. getting taken away. I think so. So the thing is with Tristana is like it's the perfect Woolite champion. I've gone on record saying this before as well. It's so good in the current meta, and Woolite is really good on that champ too. Now another champion that Woolite loves to play is Kai'Sa. So we'll see whether or not that gets taken away. It was banned last game, but I believe it was actually Misfits who banned that away because it also happens to be one of FLICKR's favorite champions. Either way, keeping up with this 100% Nocturne ban, which is quite unique to SuppUp, but no team wants to play versus Spooky's Nocturne or even have the Nocturne be flexed. So that's going to get taken away. And the last ban of our draft is going to be the Rel. So a lot of power picks still open. That Orianna is still a good one. Blimey, okay. So the Thresh for Jactroll, that's just a straight up interlock. Okay.
I mean, do you see, I mean, you kind of feed back to the way that we saw the draft go between Ago Rogue and Misfits. Ago Rogue ban Tahm, Kench, Thresh.
Yeah.
And then they target Jactroll specifically, and now Misfits happy to take the Thresh because they know it's a good pick for Jactroll, and it keeps that comp open. Like, it doesn't give too much away. Some first picks can often like give you an indication about where that comp's going to go, but it is going to be the response of Tahm Kench for Mersa. So we'll be taking that Tahm Kench in his favor. We'll see where do SuppUp want to go. Maybe a jungle pick, maybe an AD carry pick to try and deny something away from Woolite. Lots on the table still and available for SuppUp.
So the thing with this Thresh pick specifically as well is like it's one of Jactroll's best champions. It gets banned a lot versus Misfits. It's in fact, I believe, like tied for the most banned against them. And the thing that what's great about this champion, exactly as you said, is it leaves comps very open. So you can play very early game focused, quite lane focused, but you don't necessarily have to. He's not a one-trick pony. He's probably the most well-rounded support in the entire game. So as a first pick, that's great. You know, it doesn't pigeonhole you into any specific team comp. But as an answer, I really love what SuppUp's done here. Jinx, I think, is very strong in the meta right now. Pairing it up with either Thresh or Tahm Kench is really nice because it means you can protect the Jinx either with lanterns or with gobbling her up. But also the benefit I think of having Tahm Kench Jinx specifically is that if Jinx does get caught, does get hooked, Tahm Kench can eat her and save her from the hook. So I think that's actually pretty good as far as like meta picks go, and also stylistically into that bot lane, which is now going to be Aphelios Thresh, which is very strong in and of itself as well. Two very scaling AD carries on both sides here.
And actually a very classic combo from Misfits as well with the Thresh Aphelios, something that 4 or 5 patches ago was pretty prevalent across the meta in general.
Yep.
Has seen it kind of wane a little bit in terms of popularity, but it is still a good, strong late game combo that can contest Jinx in the late game for that sort of AD carry power potential. And we'll see the jungle matchup, something that we have seen a lot over the course of the last few months, which is the Lillia into Udyr. Both can farm effectively, both clear very quickly. And so again, you expect it to be a very early, kind of like platonic early game. You know, nothing much going on, no crazy fights or engages between Spooky and Shlatan.
Spooky does like to play those more farm style junglers, even domestically. In the EBL, he's played like Shyvana more than once, and sure, Shyvana and Lillia are kind of different, but they have similar play styles as far as what you want to do in the lane phase and just powering through that jungle. So he's going to be happy to do that. I think already so far you're getting two team comps which are pretty good for grouping up and team fighting. If you want to pick more team orientated laners, I think the Orianna being open is really nice. twohoyrz hasn't actually played that yet. There is going to be that Orianna ban. I don't think twohoyrz particularly likes the Orianna, I'll be honest. I do think it would have fit fairly decently into that comp. Maybe just doesn't want to like blind it, and then doesn't want to play versus a potential counter from Sertuss as well. So Sertuss has been pinched a fair amount here. We'll see what this mid lane matchup decides to be, because we have got 3 mid laners now, depending on how you want to classify Nocturne and Seraphine, maybe even up to 5. Taken off the board. Renekton, actually, I should say as well, twohoyrz has played that mid too. So like a lot of mid lane focus right here in the draft. See what matchup we get.
We'll see. The pick here will give an illustration about, I mean, it depends who you want to give a counter pick to, right? You have the option of counter pick mid or a counter pick top. The Lucian gets locked in though, so that will be for twohoyrz in the mid lane, I suppose, because you have the AP jungle. You can kind of make the AP AD hybrid damage work from that mid lane jungle duo, which does mean that klowny will be getting the quote unquote counter pick in this scenario, unless it's Lucian top, which would be not particularly common. It'll be the Viktor locked in here for Sertuss. I would expect maybe even a blind Gnar for Agresivoo, maybe an Aatrox, things that he knows works well.
Both the champions are pretty solid picks right here. Having that Viktor as a control mage in the mid lane sure isn't going to win versus Lucian, but it loses pretty gracefully as far as it goes, and you can just scale, which is very nice. And the Sion, yeah, so it's not Aatrox, but Sion is also just that big fat body that you stick up top side. Not really too much to write home about on that one. And then it is that counter pick. What does Kench decide to do? He has played a lot of Gnar so far. And good Gnar players love to prioritize this. We saw it from Armor in the LEC finals. And klowny is also going to prioritize it here as well. So rounding out the team comp, pretty physical damage focus, honestly, from the side of SuppUp. Only Lillia being your magic damage.
And Agresivoo will eat that up, right? Like
exactly. Plus Shlatan as well. Like you have some pretty good like frontline options. So yeah, that might, you know, bite SuppUp a little bit in the bum as we go on. But either way, I do think that this is a little bit of a change of pace here for Misfits specifically. You know, it's not necessarily that early game dogpile comp that we've seen from them. We'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that I did want to kind of bring to your attention and talk a little bit, because Misfits have not drafted a comp that is going to classically take over the early game. This has got a lot of late game scaling power. And I guess Misfits kind of coming into this matchup saying, get you a team who can do both. We can win the early game at 15 minutes, and we can scale up late and play those late game team fights. But as you said, I think my worry for SuppUp here is that one Bramble Vest in the early game is going to prove an issue. Like even just a single Bramble Vest is going to prove an issue. Like, and you get towards the late game and there's a lot of armor stacking up. Like, you know, for Sion, does he really care about Lillia's damage, or does he just want to stack armor and say, okay, I just negate Lucian, I negate Gnar, and I negate Jinx, and who cares?
I think he's just gonna stack. He's gonna almost primarily stack armor. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's like something like what's it called? I think like the Sunfire Aegis, maybe a Stone Play or something, just to take the edge off. But I don't think he's gonna put too much into the magic resist basket. On the plus side though, for SuppUp, both Jinx and Lucian, as far as AD carries go, are fairly decent AD carries for taking down tanks. You know, they are those kind of like consistent auto attack champions that get crit and can get armor pen and stuff like that. So I don't think Sion will necessarily be immortal like he could be if this was like a Jin bot lane or something like that. Sometimes you see being picked into tanks, it doesn't always end particularly well. But yeah, this is interesting because this is, as you mentioned, Misfits not playing that early game style so much. They do have some elements. I think that bot lane specifically can be a good, like they can get a push in bot lane, but I don't think they're going to get the push in mid. They're not going to get it in top either. And it's kind of like up to Spooky then to play this early game, kind of the opposite of how last game went, you know, where Shlatan was the one able to move into the jungle to get that advantage with the farm, and now it's up to Spooky to do that.
I got something that's a little interesting. I didn't really touch on it with Misfits before. It probably was a little bit more relevant in the last game. Misfits actually have 4 Polish players on their roster. I don't think, which is just like very interesting because clearly, you know, it's an LFL team. But, you know, I think one thing that I can take away from European Masters is that even when Poland is losing, they're winning.
Poland never loses, man.
Poland never loses in the European Masters, that's for sure.
It's true. Like I remember there being the statistic of like the regions of the players that are competing in E-Masters group stage. It's like 20 plus are from Poland, and there's not another country that's reaching double digits. It's really is like an absolute powerhouse for talent.
Is League of Legends on the curriculum in Polish schools? Is that just something that's now existed in Polish schools? Like you go to school and you've got your designated 1 hour play of League of Legends.
You know what? I think that quite clearly has to be the case. I mean, I don't know for certain, but I think it's a fair guess to say that is absolutely what is happening over in Poland. If not, there's something in the water. But either way, we're going to get an engaging bot side.
I mean, Woolite and Jactroll taking low. That's a flash in from Mersa here. Woolite forced to back off, and the bot lane is spicy already. That's a 2 versus 2.
And that should draw some attention from the junglers as well. Now, these jungle sharks, they can smell blood in the water, and if the summoners are down, then that makes a lane a lot more tasty to go and pay a visit to. There's no heal, no flash, no exhaust from the side of SuppUp. no cleanse, no flash, no ignite on the side of Misfits. Now you would put the advantage of an early game gank into an Udyr. He can run, he can stun, and that's his job done. But Lillia's not so great at doing that. And I do think that, you know, that obviously with the position of this minion wave, you're not going to be able to get a gank for Shlatan. But it is something to bear in mind as we take a look at this bot lane. If they are going to get ganked, I would say SuppUp are a bit more vulnerable.
Yeah, but the other problem is that SuppUp don't really have the CC to work with in the laning phase to help set up Lillia pre-6 either, whereas the Misfits, you land a hook and Shlatan could just walk in and slap someone with his bare fists, and you're in a better scenario overall.
Did you say his bare hands?
Bare hands, bare fists, yeah.
That was like...
no, it was just, oh, Mersa, my goodness, you are low, mate. I mean, Shlatan can flash bare.
But he's not running. Yeah, he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
Oh dear, fly. First blood, Shlatan maybe going for the dive here onto VZZ. He has a big minion wave. Oh, the hook from Jactroll lands and Woolite picks up the kill. Misfits Premier, you can't even fault their early game when they're playing a late game comp.
They tried, man. SuppUp tried. They started with a good trade into Misfits. It was looking positive for them. But Misfits found a way to come back and get that positive. Look at this. Mersa's on full health right here, but a great hook from Jactroll. There's a reason why they first picked this. Jactroll is such a good Thresh player. And it just sets him up. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy for Shlatan here. Just going to flash auto attack Mersa. And then what do you know? Jactroll's going to get another hook. And snaps on a little bit to that one, I have to admit. But either way, going to bring down VZZ and the perfect start there for the bot side of Misfits.
Oh my word! You can't take the early game out of Misfits, can you? They are absolutely willing to just make those plays and accelerate gold. They picked up a plate in the bot lane as well. Jactroll and Woolite looking like the lane to play around for Misfits once more, and that kind of has been a story for Misfits throughout this European Masters. Super strong team here, and SuppUp, they need to just weather the storm a little bit again. The problem is for SuppUp is that, yeah, okay, they've got the late game in the form of Jinx, but you know, their mid will start to fall off. You won't be as good as Viktor in the late game, and now VZZ caught out. Oh, the hook! How is he landing these hooks? They're bending. These hooks bend. They're not supposed to do that, Jactroll.
Jactroll is just really way too good at this champion, straight up. But you saw the benefit of Tahm Kench right there, right? VZZ should have got hit by that hook, gets gobbled up by the TK, and suddenly it's not so much of a problem there. You know, just walks away, and obviously Mersa has struggled with that early death, and the bot lane in general have been put behind here from SuppUp. But at least, you know, a champion like Tahm Kench is pretty good at denying plays. So being able to stop the snowball from Misfits, you know, you should be able to do that with a TK on your side.
Now, something that I want to keep my eyes on with Misfits is that they previously would rotate Jactroll and they'd get a lot of mid lane prio and they'd go for a very early Rift Herald once it spawns. But this time round, you don't have prio top, and Lucian does have that prio versus Sertuss in the mid lane. So my worry is, you know, can you do the same thing here for Misfits? Can you get that Rift Herald that will help you pick up the plates as easily?
I think it's the opposite. I think now they're roaming everyone else to bot side. Here's Shlatan, Jactroll, Sertuss. They're all here for the party.
They're all here for the party. Woolite jumps in here. There's no summoners, or there is summoners available rather this time around, and the teleport's coming through. I wonder if Jactroll just runs for it at this stage, although that is a very low Jinx. Another teleport coming through here from twohoyrz. He's going to go down. How are Misfits still alive in this scenario? Agresivoo jumps in. Double kill for the Viktor. This is not a late game team comp. It's a triple kill for Sertuss underneath the tier 1 tower. Misfits, you can't stop him.
5v4 in that bot side. There's no jungler from SuppUp, and Misfits take advantage. Woolite able to push that wave in by himself, mind you, and Jactroll was AFK from the lane, and instead helping topside to get that push in and then roam down. And this is the fruit of the labor right here. VZZ and Mersa, they're in a bit of a pickle, and that's just such a great gravity field. And also, I want you to keep your eyes on the Viktor ulti here as well. Look what this ulti does. It's absolutely buoyant the Jinx here. It's now going to creep its way to the Lucian. It then creeps its way to the Tahm Kench. Like, there's just not a lot of space to move when you're hugging tower like that, and a champion like Viktor, really, really good at abusing that.
Shlatan is now aggressively posturing around that Rift Herald spawn straight into the red side jungle, I imagine, to get a bit of deep vision down, try and get a clue onto where Lillia is so that he can safely set up for this Rift Herald. May even just straight up try and go for the red buff here. Jactroll is in a little bit of an awkward spot, but they will be backed up by Sertuss eventually, who is now super strong at 3-0. Mersa just he gets flayed backwards here. Shlatan dives in. Mersa does not have much health left when Shlatan's going to pick up the kill. Spooky now the target as the sleep drops down, but 2hours can do nothing. I mean, Woolite just solos VZZ on the top side of the map. Misfits are toying with their prey. SuppUp cannot get in this game.
Yeah, toying with their prey, and SuppUp, they better hope there's a god out there that they can pray to, because this game, 7-0, we're almost at a kill a minute. Almost at a kill per minute.
I bet the Twitch chat are laughing because we're like, it's a late game, you know. Misfits not really looking to go hard in the early game here. They are going hard in the early game. Even with these later game scaling champs, they are popping off. And then Jactroll flash hooks straight onto 2hours, and he is just dead. Ban Thresh.
That's going to be culminating in a 3k goal lead already. Jactroll has been everywhere on the map and landing pretty much all of these hooks. I've only seen him miss one so far in this game. And Sertuss, you know it's kind of doomed when a Viktor's able to pop off like that. And come on. I mean, it's way too early in the game for Aphelios to be doing these kind of things, honestly. Way too early on into the game, but Woolite doesn't care. He's 1v2ing in this level 7 versus level 5s. He does not care.
Woolite, he's legit he's memeing him. And now the rest of the team is going to join up. Here comes the Moonlight Vigil. VZZ slowed down. I don't think Tahm Kench is a safe place to be VZZ. Woolite picks up the kill. This is disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's too easy, ZZ, for these guys right now. Misfits, 10-0. It's more than 1 kill a minute, and it's all on one side. When people lose their marbles over the 1 kill a minute stat, it's usually because the game's bloodthirsty and both teams are trading blow for blow, and it's just action after action after action. And sure, we're kind of seeing a little bit of that in this game. It's certainly action-packed, but it's literally all Misfits right now. Almost a 4k gold lead at 10 minutes. 10 kills. I just, honestly, like, this is just madness. It's absolutely madness. And I know, like, sure, Viktor, Aphelios, late game scaling champions don't necessarily play towards the lane phase, but with the way that Misfits are able to conduct lanes and gain advantages through favorable trades and just outplaying their opponents, you combine that with Shlatan's Udyr, and suddenly, you know, it's just another early game team comp for Misfits.
I mean, I want to say this is like an Udyr thing, but he's only got 50% kill participation. Like, that's the crazy thing. The laners from Misfits have been doing this themselves. Jactroll with 90% kill participation on this Thresh. He's been, I mean, has he even been in lane? Has Jactroll even been in lane this game? I swear he's been in the river. He's been river Thresh for the majority of this game. And the first tower drops at 11 minutes. It is almost a 5k gold lead at 11 minutes into the game. I swear for Misfits, we are now just seeing how far they can speedrun a 5k gold lead, because it's looking pretty good. Agresivoo solo kills the Lucian, who is now 0-3. And Misfits, they are just on something right now.
They are absolutely on something, and it's going to take a hell of a lot to get them off whatever it is that they're on. That's the Rift Herald being slapped down in mid-side as well, as Udyr is going to take up the Dragon. That should be, yeah, mid tower is going to fall here as well. That's the second tower of the game for these guys. We're still on plates, mind you. So that's 11 plates so far being taken down, which will account for a lot of this gold lead here for Misfits too. As we're going to watch this one again, a fully charged decimating smash from Fog of War. There's not a lot of counterplay, and we are just chilling, man. We're just chilling. Just like Jactroll's been all around the map, but that's just the Jactroll experience right there. And as you can see, you know, he's one of the big carries, and but a good kill there from Agresivoo.
Yeah, a good kill from Agresivoo. And I got the timer. Misfits got a 5k gold lead at 11 minutes and 40 seconds, which I think may be the quickest that they've actually generated a lead like that in any game thus far. Misfits early game is something else, dude. It's
it really
something else.
is, honestly. And the fact that they just did this against the #1 Polish team as well is just, it proves that this isn't a clash between like the Balkan region and the LFL, which is, you know, LFL being touted as one of the strongest regions here. probably in the strongest region, I think it's fair to say. And the Balkans normally just look to play upset. I don't think you can even say that anymore. I think it's purely just Misfits are just genuinely on another level. Bear in mind, okay, mind-blowingly so, these guys are the 2nd seed coming out of LFL.
And that's crazy. It's crazy, right? You think the Misfits just look that far above the competition in Group B, but then you remember that there is a stronger final boss form in the form of Karmine Corp, who are in the Group of Death, mind you. Like people sort of lovingly named Group D the Group of Death, and they just 3-0'd the first week, and it didn't even look like they struggled to 3-0 that either.
No, legit. It's just something else. There's something in the baguettes over there across the pond, across the channel, I should say. That's a bit too far across the pond. It's just too much, legit. It really is. And honestly, like the man on your screen right now, for me, he's been like the MVP of today, I would say. And obviously, we still got a lot of games to play for the other groups, so it's kind of hard to say he's the best performing member of the Masters because it's kind of unfair when everyone else just has only played 3 games. But Woolite, don't forget as well, is he won with Agresivoo, right?
Oh, klowny, you hate to see it, mate. He really committed to that bot lane tier 1 and got punished for it. Forced a flush away. He's actually sticking around as well for Agresivoo. Maybe got that Mega Gnar, wants to go for the engage. Will Gnar Agresivoo back into the wall. Here comes twohoyrz. Maybe looking to get their first kill of the game. As twohoyrz jumps in, they will stop the decimating smash, and Agresivoo will eventually drop. Not a perfect game this time round for Misfits as they do lose, but what do they lose for? It looks like they lose 2 tier 2s.
I think that might be a teeny weeny bit worth it right here for Misfits. They had the inside track into mid. Gonna knock down that second tower there. That actually genuinely.
Do they even care about the inhibitor? Like Jinx is just roaming around her own jungle right now.
I actually think, honestly, if Misfits took inhib at this point in the game, it wouldn't be terrible for SuppUp. It's so early on that you just basically get a lane that's funneling minions into your base, and then you can just stick VZZ in that lane, and then like hope, cross your fingers, and pray that he's able to scale up through that.
I really want to get a stat because we're now 15 minutes, right? And I'm going to try and look this stat up for future. Maybe we can tweet it out or something. I want to know if this is the biggest gold lead we've ever had at 15 minutes in the European Masters thus far, because I think he was around 7 point something K, which is pretty nutty. That's a pretty crazy gold lead to sort of build up by this point in the game. I mean, so many towers have dropped. I don't think there's been a sniff of a neutral objective for SuppUp.
Yeah.
They have been completely zoned away from anything relevant in that river. And they may get their first tower in the bot side here. Don't think it doesn't look like Misfits are that bothered about it as they take that second Rift Herald.
Absolutely, Misfits not going to care too much. This Rift Herald actually is going to get pretty good value here because you can actually threaten some pretty important structures with this one. Normally the second Herald is used to finish off an outer tower. Maybe you can break open that mid with it or something like that, which obviously is very, very valuable. But Misfits don't really need any help in that department. They've already got the first tower mid. They've got the second tower mid as well. And I don't think they're going to use it to break open inhibs. Honestly, I would not be surprised if Misfits just win a team fight and then we see Shirley dancing at the end of the game. I genuinely would not be surprised if we see that, as Misfits is now bundling through the top side. They're going to take this. I think they're going to go for it. I genuinely think they're going for it. They're doing it.
They're going to drop it. I mean, the Rift Tower is getting dropped at this Nexus tower. I mean, are they legit just looking to end the game at 16 minutes? I mean, this is crazy from Misfits if they want to go for it, but the first Nexus tower does drop. They have, oh my word, the ultimate comes out. They've already got 1 kill. They've got 2. 3 members drop from SSU. This could be one of the quickest games in competitive history if they can make it work.
It's happening.
That is absolutely disgusting from Misfits. What am I watching, lads?
There she is.
Oh, we get the dance. We get the dance. I can't. Where did that even come from?
Dude, I have no words for what we just witnessed right there. 17-minute victory. Very close to a 16-minute victory. I mean, I don't know what happened. Did we accidentally log into Wild Rift or something like that? Like, that was so incredibly fast. And honestly, on a team comp that had no business being that fast, Misfits Premier just... What is going on? This team is something else.
I don't know what I watched. I don't know what I watched, mate. I really don't know what I watched. That was That was something else. I mean, I was settled in here. I was expecting a late game scaler. I was thinking, do you know what? I got my cushions in place because I'm sitting on the floor right now. I was thinking, all right, 30 minutes, maybe 17 minutes for Misfits with that comp. They just obliterated SuppUp. I can now tell you, I've got our remaining scenarios open here. Misfits are pretty much guaranteed. I think they are guaranteed first place because the only tiebreaker they can get is versus Rogue, and that'll be solved by a head-to-head. So Misfits guarantee first seed coming out of Group B here. There are a lot of other scenarios, I think about 8 or so remaining scenarios for what can happen between that second seed and third seed for getting in and out of the groups. But what I'll say is Misfits have secured themselves first place. So they deserve it. The way they've played has been out of this world good. And I think I'm excited to talk about that game in a minute, Foxy, because I have no idea where you even begin. It really feels like that bot lane tower dive snowballed the entire game. It was crazy.
What? What? We're not even have anything to talk about.
Exactly. What are we even going to talk about? Misfits just stomped them. But nonetheless, I'm sure we will find something. We're going to go to a very quick breather. The break's going to be longer than the bloody game. We'll see you back shortly. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that game. It was certainly one of the quickest competitive games I've ever casted. you know, especially at this level, might even be one of the quickest games we've ever had at the European Masters, with a comp that really didn't look like it should have won the game at 17 minutes in, but Misfits Premier made it work, because they do. They're Misfits Premier, and they absolutely steamrolled this early game, Foxy.
Dude, I think back to that moment where they're about to push for the end, and I'm just thinking, what are you doing? And they bloody did it. They just went ahead and did it. And as you say, it all started from the early game. And look, honestly, SuppUp had like the first trade where they blew summoners, and it worked really well for them. But Jactroll lands that hook onto Tahm that you just saw, which sets up for a nice simple dive here. He lands this hook onto Jinx as well. Honestly, Thresh hooks are not balanced when you can hit them, and Jactroll just doesn't miss, so there's that. He even tweeted out after this game, any other takers to leave my Thresh open? I don't think too many people are going to volunteer into that one after seeing this game.
And this was the end. I mean, just look how much damage Viktor does in this fight. Watch when the ult drops.
Yeah, yo, the ult drops and so does SuppUp. Holy moly. Yeah, that's insane. That's again, if you're hugging towers because it's safe, or it should be safe, then you just don't have a lot of space to move around, and Viktor loves that. And you know what, I'm just happy to see Shelly dance. Of course, we're not going to see it there, but jungle diff, obviously, massive 1.5k carry from Shlatan. Like, the thing, look at that though, 11k damage though from the
Aphelios. Oh my god,
a 17-minute game is just, dude. So AD carries often get like high damage stats because games got like 30 minutes or so. And at that point, yeah, AD carries come online. They're just hitting front lines. They're just pumping out deeps, and they can do that. That's not meant to happen at this point in the game, by the way. That's not meant to happen. But Woolite, being Woolite, finds a way. Just honestly across the board, and as per usual, Misfits, stemming from that bot lane, thoroughly dominant performance from Misfits Premier.
It was absolutely nutty. I don't think I've seen a competitive game like that, like in quite some time, especially. Yeah. And Misfits Premier just definitely flying the flag for the LFL region, but also, as I said, kind of flying the flag for Poland as well, with 4 Polish players on that roster. Clearly, as we said, even when Poland don't look like they're winning, they're actually winning. It's absolutely crazy. I'm still almost flabbergasted just from how that game even transpired that way. I mean, they're so good at finding those minute opportunities and turning them into something bigger. Like your AD carries on the other side of the map. Oh, we'll just take 2 towers top. Like like they're just so good at that. And obviously Shlatan and that Udyr are just able to completely run over the early game every time he's been able to get his hands on that champion as well. And as you said, it's not an Ago Rogue thing. It's not an EBL SuppUp thing. It's just a Misfits Premier thing. These guys are literally just that good, Foxy.
They really are. It's honestly a real delight to watch as well. And I genuinely think, you know, coming out of groups, that whoever they're playing against, they've got to be favorites. Surely, you know, they've got to be favorites. I just think they've just dominated. It's been really, really impressive the way they've won.
Well, we have 3 more games in Group B to wind things up, but it's not myself and Foxy that will be taking you through. We have 2 new casters. I think Hitbrain and Orcs will be coming on to guide you through the final 3 games of the day. And the first one is an important one: SuppUp versus Ago Rogue. A win there puts you in a great spot to advance from the group. So we're excited to watch it from the sidelines. Hopefully you guys are as well. We'll see you very soon.